Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, Liz. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Well, slightly better now. We're having some technical trouble today.
We have been having some technical trouble.
We have lots and lots of grief, but hopefully all fixed. So let's have a look and see who we've got in the chat joining us today. We've got Karina's in. Already Jane is in. Hopefully some of the people from earlier on will
come back and join us.
We'll see us, so come along and say hi. If you're watching on YouTube, that is fine. Hello, Emma. If you're watching on YouTube, that is just fine. But come along and join us on behance.net/Adobe Live and get involved in the chat with all of the lovely people that are there right now. So, we've had a fun morning.
Yeah, it's been an interesting morning, and now we are sitting very close together.
We are sitting very close together. We are indeed. Here. So what are we? Well, we know what we're going to do today, but we ought to share it with everybody else, really, oughtn't we? We ought to just let them know what we're going on with.
So we're doing another week of live streams. So we've got 3 hour-and-a-half long masterclasses, which we're really excited about, and we've come up with a really fun project that hopefully everybody's going to enjoy. And we are going to be creating the cover design for a new podcast that we have come up with. So. Shall we get started and chat through?
I think we ought to. Yes. Karina's in the chat, by the way.
Hi, Karina.
Lovely Karina. Excellent. Right, well, let's go across then and start sharing their screen.
Perfect.
So, you can take it away then,
I'll
Liz.
take it away. So, we've come up with a name for our podcast, and it's going to be called Express Design. We haven't decided yet whether we'll keep in the creative podcast with Tony Harmer and Liz Mosley. Probably not. We're going to go with Express Design with Tony and Liz, or something a bit shorter like that.
Yeah.
So our target audience is going to be creatives at all stages of their career. So it doesn't matter what level of experience they have, but basically people who want to learn about new tools or how to use tools that they're familiar with better to improve their process and workflows. I know that's something that you're all about, isn't it, aren't you?
I love workflows, yeah.
Improving your workflow. So actually, for this project, I decided to have a little play with Chat GPT, I can never say it, and it's written us a pretty amazing podcast.
It's so good. We should actually make it happen.
It's
really
so good that it's convinced us that we want to do it. So let me just quickly read it because I love it so much. So get ready to buckle up your creative seatbelts and dive into the exciting world of design with Tony Harmer and Liz Mosley on their brand spanking new podcast, Express Design. Join these two design gurus as they explore a whole range of tools and tricks to help you take your design game to the next level. From the latest software to funky hardware gadgets, Tony and Liz share their expert knowledge with you in a way that's both informative and fun. You'll be laughing and learning at the same time. No matter if you're a seasoned pro or a newbie to the design scene, there's something here for everyone. Whether you're looking to streamline your workflow or just want to stay ahead of the curve, these guys have got you covered. So if you're ready to take your design skills to new heights, then tune into Express Design and hang out with Tony and Liz. It's going to be a wild ride.
I love it. Today's a wild ride.
Today has been a wild ride. So, let us know in the chat if you would listen to this podcast, because we are kind of excited about it now. So we might make it happen. It might happen. So basically we're going to sort of break up our masterclasses over 3 days. So today we're going to be in Illustrator, and we're going to be focusing on designing the cover.
Yep.
And then tomorrow we'll be in Adobe Express, and we'll be creating some promotional assets, some animated assets that we'll be then using on day 3, where we're going to be in Premiere Pro, and we're going to be creating video content to promote our podcast.
Yes.
So we'd love to hear from you guys in the chat. Let us know what podcasts that you already enjoy listening to. We'll get started sort of working through what we've got to work on today.
Yes, and we've got Joe in the chat now.
Hey Joe, nice to see you. So I started up by doing a little bit of research into the kind of thing that's already out there. So I've just screenshotted a few podcast covers for us to look at, and I really love the variety here. There's like a whole range of different things, but I think it's quite interesting. There's like a lot to consider, I think, when you're designing a podcast cover, because it's such a small canvas, and the content on it needs to work at a really small size, basically, because someone's going to be looking at it on their phone, like in Apple Podcasts or Spotify or something like that. So definitely, I think often less is more when it comes to what is on the cover. I actually really love this. I think this is really striking, and we have sort of both know Katie, who runs the Creative Boom podcast, and I asked her a bit about it, and she really intentionally went for this very simple black and white, because she noticed that a lot of the other podcast covers, which you can see here, are not like that, and so it does really stand out. And I really love the simplicity of it, so I think that's something to bear in mind. But also illustrative stuff like this I think is really fun. I think the design on podcast cover, again, like very, very simple but really striking. A lot of people use like little cartoons of themselves, which I think is a really nice feature, but all of these kind of like have quite bold text so that it's easy to read. So I think that's something that we'll need to factor in as we create our design. But I think, knowing what we're like, we want to have something that's fun and playful, something that's going to catch people's eye.
Hidden jokes. Yeah,
hidden jokes. Nothing too serious. Because I guess, as with branding, you want how your podcast cover looks to give people a clue or a reflection of what they can expect on the podcast. So I think if we had a very sort of a serious corporate looking podcast cover, that would
reflect
not
what we are. No, not at all.
It would not correctly reflect what's going on.
Yeah.
So
Oliver, by the way, in the chat is saying he likes the Cautionary Tales podcast. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. But that's very, very simple. I love that podcast. Okay. It's very, very simple in that it's basically like a bookshelf.
Okay.
There's nothing written on the spines of the books, but it's just a series of coloured spines.
Oh, nice.
And one of them is leaning over. Because
that's cool.
that particular podcast is all about, strangely enough, cautionary tales. So the sort of things you tell your kids, you tell your kids about, I don't know, Little Red Riding Hood. And the lesson there is, don't go wandering around with a picnic basket in the woods when there are wolves around, that sort of thing. Or, might gobble up your grandma, which nobody wants.
No one wants that.
And also beware of grandmas that have got a large snout, big ears, and eyes that are so large. Anyway, but that's the idea. So it links together.
It tells
Tim
a
Harford,
story, doesn't it? I guess other bits of information to factor in are, I think our episodes would be quite small and bite size, so 10, 15 minutes long. We'd be covering a different tool in each one. So again with branding, sort of having that information, who your target audience is, what people can expect, what it's all about, that can sort of help inform the design.
Yes.
So if we just scroll across slightly, I've started creating a bit of a mood board inspired by some of the covers that we saw just now. Now, obviously, as we mentioned, no cover of ours is going to be corporate and boring. So there's lots of bright colours, playful typography. I actually really love this.
I love that. I was looking at
that's the thing. That's what I'm really drawn to. So the cream background. So you still got that kind of monochrome feel, but with the real bright colours, I think. Really nice. I think this is a really clever one. The type's really bold, but you've got the illustrations working around it. Tells a bit of a story. This one's really fun. It sort of shows how you can be playful with the typography, but still bring in illustrations. I love the letters on this one. I mean, there's lots of fun and playful typography, which I think works well for the kind of topic that we're going to be talking about. And the kind of the sort of thing that we want to convey. So which out of these, Tony, are you most drawn to?
The San Diego Design Week is really cool.
It's nice, isn't it?
But it's been done now. So
it has been done. We're going to put our own spin on it.
Yeah, it's got to be.
I think that's always the thing.
I do love design with geometry and geometric heavy design.
Yeah.
And that's squares, triangles, and circles.
I know,
It's all divisions.
Really clever.
Thereof, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
The only thing that it's a functional reason why is the San Diego, those two squares, the N of San and the E of week. I'd have to move that San across a bit so that top square was in between the other two, or was to the left or right,
yeah,
one of those
I see
things.
what you mean, yeah.
But, you know, for it to truly be geometric, but I do like it. It's got a nice flow, and in fact, if you follow the line down of that N through the circle to the other N, there's a really nice suggestion in there. And again, with the AGGK, the way it lines up, so you know, it's got a lot going for it. I like that. My favourite podcast, Liz, is on my T-shirt today. The Building Your Brand.
Not that you're biased, right?
Not that I'm biased, but you know. Did a bit of my own merch design and made you your own T-shirt. You did,
which was fun.
And it says number one. I'm not going to stand up, but it says number one fan on the bottom of it.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I like the things that are hand drawn, because they're individual. They're not just type. I do like the one in the top left.
Yes, that's really fun.
It's very busy, but I like it.
It is busy. Yeah, I think that's a bit harder to read. Like, maybe doesn't have the... like, it would need to be a bit clearer, wouldn't it? So that when it was small, people could immediately read what it says.
Yeah.
But I think the look and the style, with all the different letters, is really, really cool. I actually really love this sort of thing as well, where you've got all the letters sort of arranged slightly differently. I mean, there's
somewhere between those two would be
somewhere
lovely.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're aiming for.
There's a lot of research as well, by the way, that says the more difficult something actually is to read, the more likely you are to remember it, which is kind of
interesting. That is cool, and definitely something to factor in. I guess we always sort of talk about how important legibility is, but sometimes maybe, you know, for something like this, maybe it's not, because it's not a large amount of text. It actually works quite well to make people work a little bit harder to see what it is. I think the key thing is that it's going to stand out to people, and that, like you said, that it'll be memorable. And that people, I guess, when people are sort of scrolling through like iTunes or Spotify, you know, we want something that's going to like draw them in, so that we get lots of listeners for our fictional, hopefully not fictional podcast. Also, just having a little think about, now a lot of people, like including me for mine, like have maybe a picture of themselves or an illustration of themselves. We might not decide to go down this route, but I just thought it'd be fun to explore some different sort of like illustration styles. Like, a lot of podcast covers have just sort of like a straight picture of a person, which sometimes works really well, but also sometimes can be a bit boring. So I think actually, but you know, there's different treatments, because I think, you know, this kind of thing's quite clever. There's different things that you can do to make it more interesting and make it stand out, but also loads of really beautiful illustration styles that, again, I think just like put your unique spin on it and make it a bit more personal. And because it's a creative podcast, you know, like, I think, nice to have that sort of thing in there as well.
In the chat, by the way, Joe's loving the inspirations, which is good, and heart eyes from Karina, which is also fantastic. Which of those out on the... see, that one you just hovered over, the one down at the bottom there. Love the colours in that. Yeah. And I'm wondering, is that the same artist who did the one diagonally opposite, the one...
I'm not sure, actually. That's the one... This is the one I'm most drawn to. Yeah. Because I think of what you were talking about earlier, like the geometric shape, you know, like that it's all made up of these sort of like components. So I think there's definitely something in that we can play around with. I'd like to try something like that. I think that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I think one of the nice things that we can think about as well is, you know, there's creating the podcast cover, but also we can create like other assets and things that we can use to like promote the episodes, because I think we're thinking about this as a whole project, you know, like how we're going to promote the podcast as well. True. Great. Okay, so let's maybe have a look at the sketches, then we'll have a think about colour, and then we'll get into designing. Yeah. So we've just got a few very, very basic sketches here. Yeah. You did it. Look at this one. But you know, it's just to give you an idea. Made an ice cream. This is what the lid would look like. We've got some basic drawing skills at play here. Yeah. You did all the heavy lifting on this job, right? That's yeah. Be quick to let everyone know that I did the sketches, not you. My favourite one's not in there, but anyway. I was too embarrassed to put it in, but maybe I'll share it on my stories later.
You're saying it's terrible. It wasn't terrible. It would be great if it was Kate Garraway and Adam Lambert who were doing the podcast. That's all I can say. But, yeah.
I've gone for a simplified version. So basically, maybe thinking about having like the Express really bold, and then a more sort of organic design. Or I quite like the you see these really beautiful examples of really chunky text, going around in the circle. I like the idea of having a sort of quite a contrast between the name of the podcast and then with Liz and Tony, or Tony and Liz or whatever. But I also really love this. I think, and I think this plays in well to what you were talking about, where you're making people work a little bit harder to read it. Yeah. So the letters are all arranged like in a slightly unusual order. Yeah. But almost like a jigsaw puzzle, like all pieced together.
That's nice, the way that you've got effectively two laned and L shapes there, essentially. With the uppercase E and the S on the end of designs there, you can see that's kind of one L shape, and then you've got a rotated L shape for the other one. So there's logic inside of there. It's not just randomly dropped down. You have got logic in there. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be fun to do.
So maybe that'll be our starting point. Let's have a quick think about the colour palette. So I was just thinking that we could pull in some different colours. So what is your what are you drawn to colour-wise?
I do like the light cream background of the San Diego Design Week, and the slightly darker one of the one at the top left there. I do think there's some good colours in there. If you're going to use the eyedropper on mine, you need to hold down the shift key.
You do it.
Do you want me?
Yeah, you do it.
Tony, do it.
I'm not used to it.
Hang on a second. Yeah, so Liz is having to work on my machine today, which is a challenge for anybody. Well, apart from me, I'm the only person not
really
challenged.
Easy.
Right?
Yeah, you grab the colours. Yeah, so, I think the cream with like bold colours works quite well. I do quite like the red and pink clashing colours.
What,
as well.
here?
Yeah, I think that could be interesting.
Should we take both of those?
Yeah,
let's go ahead and take both of those. So we'll go and grab that. Note to the Illustrator team, by the way, if you ever fancied like putting in a nice little bigger eyedropper sampler, like the one you get in Fresco, then I'm sure a lot of people would really, really love that. But anyway, then we'll need something that's against those, right?
What do you think about some like a yellow? I quite like the yellow
in
from
Skip
the music
Repeat.
issue.
Oh yeah,
or in Skip Repeat.
That's even warmer.
Yeah.
Let's do that. We'll take that one.
And then maybe it would be good to have I think we need something a lot darker.
Blue,
so maybe navy blue.
Yeah.
I think a navy blue could work well.
So there's a few blues I like. Actually, we didn't even mention this one down here.
I know,
that's
that is really
nice.
fun. Yeah.
But we've got some blues here. I think that's maybe just a bit.
Yeah, that one.
I mean, the thing is it dark, or does it look dark?
Yeah.
Because it's so close to that darker object. Let's go ahead and pick this one though, just for the minute, just over here.
We can always tweak them as we're
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh.
Do you ever use
We've lost our yellow.
Oh yeah. That's hello Tony, how are you doing? I'm doing just fine.
How are you getting on using your computer today?
I'm picking colours.
I think that I like that. I like how that's coming together.
Do you ever use colour.adobe.com to pick up?
I do.
Do you?
I do. I really like it. I like I think with a lot of these things, it's quite nice to not have to start from scratch. So I'll often take a colour palette from there and then sort of tweak it and play around with it.
I've gone and just nicked that.
I like that
automatically.
I like that. The other one potential could be I was just going to say the green from the Nope.
Wondering about that actually.
Yeah, I like it.
Do you not think there's a big similar? One of the things I like about doing something like this, right?
Oh, is it? It's exactly the same as the
similar value. Similar value.
Yeah.
One of the things I like about messing with something like that is to introduce another element. So if I went ahead here, for example, and introduced something, and I'm just trying to think, probably the best colour to use for this would be something around a grey, yeah, so we're working in CMYK there. So 50-50-50 should work, and then changing the blending mode of that. It's interesting how my screen is drawing so crazy on here at the moment. Yeah, and just blending that across. I think let's try that as black and see if we get that
clever.
black
So
and white.
it's giving you an idea of
Yeah,
like,
so
the tones.
you get more of an idea there
Yeah,
about the values between those, and seeing if you've got.
We
so
don't,
we can
because
see.
it is important to have a good range, isn't it? And I think what
Yeah.
we're missing is something that's like really dark, like
Yeah.
a really, maybe changing one of the blues to like a dark navy.
Yep. And the great thing of doing it this way,
Is that you can,
rather than
nice.
changing a screen blending mode, is, and now that's not an accurate representation of their grayscale values directly.
No.
It'd be a good idea.
But
to
it gives
check
you a
it.
good
Yeah,
idea
you've got
at a
to
glance.
steer
That's a
as
really nice trick. I like that because
Yeah.
I think, especially in branding, when you're coming up with a color palette, you need to have like a good mix tonally. So you need to make sure you've got your darks. You want something that's like off black that you can use for like text and stuff like that. But you need to have your very pale colors that you can use for backgrounds, because otherwise you're not going to have the flexibility, and the colors you're not going to be able to use all the colors together. So I think it is good to think about, definitely.
I'm just going to resize this one here at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, let us know if you're enjoying both of us struggling to work on the
Yeah, on the same
machine.
screen.
But I mean, realistically, this is something that actually happens in a lot of studios I've worked in. You've ended up hunched over a
next
machine,
together.
working together.
I know,
so
it's nice.
I think this is personally, I think it's very real world. I'm just wondering about sampling that colour
green,
there.
Yeah, nice.
So if I go back for the eyedropper.
Karina says that she used to do this at uni as well. Yeah, I think that's a really great trick. I love that. I love that way of doing it. Also, Annika's joined us. Hello, Annika. Our slightly different stream where we're both in the same. We're very close to each other.
We are. It's lucky we get on, isn't it?
I know, I was going to say, it's a good job we're good friends. But we're having a great time. So, yeah.
So that's changed a little bit. I'm just wondering if there's anything else. I'm still eyedroppering. There we go. There's a bit of live eyedroppering for you there. Continuous eyedropper.
I wonder if we make that blue like a darker one. Like even not eyedroppering, we could just do it in the.
We could, yeah.
Just get a sort of navy going.
I mean, we could get an idea of that, using. So which would you say would be our root colour here? I'm thinking yellow.
Yeah.
Because of the cream background.
Yeah, nice.
So we could use the colour guide. Let's give this some more options here. Let's go ahead and increase the number. I normally put this up to 10, like that. I never bother with the variation. I just go, 10.
That'll
do
do.
everything to the max. And then just drag out this panel so it's nice and big and easy to work with. And I think that's a good way to see those variations. Let's set the root colour at that. Some of the things we've already got in there.
Yeah, so
very,
we've got
very close
Yeah.
to these. And of course that's just using the harmonic rule that's there at the moment. So if we change that, a triad would give us 120 degrees around the wheel, but just 3 colours in that set. My machine's going, where's the rest of the screen gone, Tony? Just one. It's normally used to its big natural environment where everything there. Let's change the harmonic rule. So we'll click this again to do this. Tetrad takes us 4 ways. Let's try for a compound. There's not a huge amount of variations. We could always try switching between warm and cool.
Oh, there we go. I think some of those blues on the darker end would.
Yeah, so I mean, you can see here that a certain level of saturation, because the root set there is already pretty saturated. They're not moving that far away from there.
Annika's loving the colour guide. Yeah, this is a cool way.
Such a good tool.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Whoops, I've still got the yellow selected just there, so let's go ahead and keep that root as it is. So the root's staying there until I tell it
Nice.
not to. So we go.
Nice to see everybody in the chat.
There's a good distinction just there. Uma, hello.
Yeah. I think that's
and
good.
Annika's enjoying seeing us there, which is really nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
We're liking it too. We don't normally work in different rooms in different parts of the country.
Yeah, it's nice to be in the same place in another country.
In another country, yeah. It's just a shame we have to go out of the country to sit and work.
We only hang out in other countries.
This is true. This is true. Yeah, yeah. So there's I think looking at those, there's a reasonable amount of differentiation.
Yeah, it's looking good
between those. I think
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's looking good.
We can explore more.
Yeah,
We've got plenty of other.
And as we and the thing I think, well, this is I don't know about you, but this is how I work with creative projects. Is I'll often come up with a color palette to get me started, but as I'm creating the design, I'll often adjust it because I think you often need to see the colors working in like a real situation to fully understand if they're gonna sort of give you everything that you need and if they're going to work for you, and then I'll sort of lock down the color palette at the end once I've started putting it into place and trying it in different ways.
That's the thing, is keeping it flexible, right? You've got to keep these things going. I don't know, I'm kind of happy with that personally. Are you good with that?
Yeah, I am good with that.
So,
yeah, I think it's looking good.
Annika's favourite word is save, so that's
let's
probably a good idea just
good
to
point.
update that. Now we've done that work there. So, and we can get rid of this now. It's served its purpose for what it is.
So we've got a colour palette.
Yeah.
So I think we can get started.
Ooh, is it going to be drawing time?
Drawing time, yeah. Take it away, Tony. So if you've just joined us, we are creating a podcast cover for our fictional, hopefully soon to become non-fictional podcast.
The more we talk about it, the more real it's going to
happen. So we're going to be live streaming over 3 days. So today we are creating the cover. Tomorrow we're going to be in Adobe Express doing sort of social assets, and then on Thursday we're going to be doing some video content, which is really fun. If you are watching on YouTube, that is totally great, but also feel free to head over to b.net/Adobe Live and come join us in the chat where you can ask us questions, and we'd love to hear your thoughts as we work through the project.
I'm just putting this back where it was.
Yeah, put that
more
back.
or less. Put
Awesome.
it back. That's it. Tell me off.
Yeah, put it back where I put it back.
Put it back quickly. All right. Well, what I'm going to do is I am very quickly going to go ahead and launch Photoshop in the background here, because I haven't got that launched just at the moment. So we'll get that launched and we'll get that up onto that screen, because that's actually where I'm going to start this.
Okay, interesting.
Bizarrely, right? I've got a little thing that I need to do for that. Photoshop taking its sweet time today to, it's normally very quick, taking its sweet time, because we've got so many things plugged into this room, as well as the wire capital of the world we've got on our desk.
We've got a lot of screens going on as well.
This is about as close to working in a real studio as we've ever been.
I know, but you're so right. Like, this is totally my memory of it, of how we would be, all gathered around a screen, chatting about what designs we like.
Yep.
I think it's going to be good.
So I'm just going to go ahead and bring this up onto the other screen. There you go. This is it. Live moving screens around. Hello. Just there. So we should be capturing that. And let's go ahead and make sure that it fits to the whole screen just there. And that was interesting. I managed to just take us back to Illustrator. And I think I've accidentally put
Photoshop in a different
place. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sneakily go ahead and just quit Photoshop and relaunch it, because it's on a different space and it's wandered off. Photoshop's not knowing what it's doing today. And,
Joe says, honestly, you could just move colour around for 3 days and I'd be entertained. So that's good. That's
so
good to
glad
hear,
you said that, Joe.
Yeah. That might end up what it is.
At the moment, I just need to fix something in Photoshop, so I'm hoping Photoshop's not launched. While
Tony's launching Photoshop, we did ask this earlier, but now we've got some new people in the chat. Let us know what your favourite podcasts are, what's inspiring you these days. To be honest, I'd love some more like creative podcasts to listen to. I know there's some really good ones out there. So let us know what you're listening to. Let us know what sort of podcast content you enjoy most. Like, what's your optimum length? Do you like short 10-minute episodes? Do you like longer hour-long episodes? There's like a whole variety.
Yes. So I'm going to just get this back up onto the screen. I'm going to use a slightly different route for doing it. And what we should ask everybody, well, we've got them here, is should we do it? Yeah,
definitely. Let us know if you would listen to a podcast with me and Tony.
That's it.
Because I think, wait and see what you think of the cover. But let us know if you'd listen.
Yes.
At the moment, the plan would be that it would be like 10-minute long episodes, tackling like a different. So like 1 week we'd look at Adobe Express and how you can use it. 1 week we'd look at maybe some like tricks to speed up your process in Illustrator, stuff like that. Annika says she loves 30-minute episodes. Yeah, I think 30 minutes is like a good sweet spot.
That's a good time, yeah. I'm just going to go ahead here and just reset the workspace, because my workspace at the moment is just going ahead and drawing the whole thing off screen. There we go. And I'll just make this slightly smaller so that it matches with our stream, or gets us very close to the stream. All of these things, see, this is what happens behind the scenes on Adobe Live, apart from normally we've got someone else going, I'll do that for you. That's not really how it works, is it? But there we go. Right, now we can go ahead and maximize that on this screen. Yes, we are in the game. So let's go ahead and jump into Illustrator. So your sketch is over here. I'm going to work with that one. So I'm just going to copy that and pop back into Photoshop, create a new document here using the clipboard.
Nice.
So let's go ahead and do that. And we get Spinny Beach Ball because I've, new document. And that's not a reflection on Photoshop, it's a reflection on the wire central that we've got going.
Yeah,
let's
there's a lot going on here.
There is a lot going on in here. So let's go ahead and do that. That's great. I'm not going to change anything just there. However, some people watch this stuff on phones, so it would be a good idea to.
Yeah, you're really good at remembering to do that. I always forget. Oliver says, obviously, we're all listening to Liz's podcast. Thanks, guys. That's good to know. Joe says, I'm a big fan of Layovers, a flying podcast, and great new rebrand too. Ooh.
Is that a coded message?
yeah. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah. Right, so I'm going, not the frame tool, I'm going to go to the crop tool, long press, and choose the perspective crop tool.
Nice.
And then I'm just going to come along and aim for some of these corners. Just over here, so let's go up to this corner here. Down to this one here. I mean, it's on a curvy piece of paper, so
it is, yeah.
We're not going to get,
perfection.
It's not like there's a warp. We can't actually, we can only go and change the size there. We can't warp that out, but it'll get us a bit closer.
Yeah, good trick.
Let's have a look at that.
Nice. So quick as well. That's brilliant.
Super fast.
Yeah, super
And I don't even need to worry about saving it. I can just go ahead and copy it.
Yeah.
Right, so in fact I'm going to do exactly that. I'm just going to copy that in Photoshop. I'm going to pop back to Illustrator. I'm going to once again save your work. Annie, did I tell you Annika was appreciative of our
yes, you did.
earlier save? She was very happy.
She said thank you. As soon as anyone sees Annika in the chat, it's like, quick save!
I know. Unfortunately, because of the tech problems we've got in here, I won't be able to do my own stream later on today or tomorrow as well, so that's fun. So Annika will miss coming on and telling me to save, because otherwise I just forget all the time. But anyway, so I'm going to create a new document here, and I think I'm going to go with sort of 1080 square. I think I'm just going to change my units here to pixels just for the moment, because that will give me a good idea of how indeed I could export it at this as well. That was a really good shout for the thumbnails, by the way, for libraries. For like when you're going to your podcast provider and you're searching for all that stuff. It's like buying a book. When you buy a book, most people make the decision to pick the book up, or if you're doing it electronically, to investigate the write-up about it by choosing the cover first. It's
absolutely,
But some covers just like, why did you buy that?
Yeah. I think that is, I think it's so funny because it's become such a cliche, hasn't it, that don't judge a book by its cover, and I get the message, but ultimately that is what we're all doing all day, every day, about loads of different things, like judging whether something's relevant to us based on what it looks like.
Yes. That's pretty good where it is. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to drop that onto a new layer just here. This is just a habit of mine.
Yeah, I've seen.
Have you noticed me do this before?
You can't cope with a red layer, can you?
I can't. No, I can't. Well, it's because it has a significance to me. So when I draw, or not when I draw, but when I design, I work in a blue pencil first.
Right.
I work in non-repro blue pencil to start off with. And then I make adjustments with a red pencil, and then sometimes I even add in a bit of a green pencil afterwards to go in and make just like final tweaks that I need them to be noticed, and then I actually start working on them with a pencil, or I bring them into the repro blue pencil disappears pretty quickly. So there you go. I'm going to call that what it is. I'm going to call it trace, just there, and I'm also going to double click that layer and turn it into a template, which automatically dims it. Yeah, nice. So which I think 50% because of that background is going to be a bit high, so I'm going to drop that down to 30%. Have a look at that.
Perfect.
See, that's
ideal.
Easy to work with.
Great.
Now my question is, do we go with the hand-drawn feel that you've got there, or do we try and actually say, I really like that art, or do we try and emulate some of that? What do we do?
So you mean like find a font and then?
No, I mean in drawing it.
Drawing it. Okay.
There's going to be no fonts in there.
That's going to work.
No fonts in there.
I think we should tidy up a bit, but maybe like you could keep that R like that, but sort of make it a bit more blocky. You know, I think it needs to have that sort of like bold, blocky feel.
Yeah.
I think we should have. I guess we were.
I just had no idea. Go on, keep going.
No, you tell us your idea.
No. I was just thinking, why don't we 3D some of these characters?
Oh yes, fun. Oh my goodness, yes.
'Cause you know I don't think, if we do About Illustrator, I don't think we actually get to see the splash screen anymore.
It's got an amazing K.
It's got an amazing
I
K.
love that, yeah, let's do it.
But that's been done using Inflate,
yes,
so it's a few different shapes.
I love that tool. Yes, let's do that. How exciting.
I think we could at least give it a try.
Yeah, definitely.
In fact, shall we start there?
I think, well, that would, I think that would really make it stand out as well, because I have not seen a podcast cover that has that effect on it
That's
anywhere,
true.
ever. I think we could be onto something.
We could be. And that's time travel back to the 1990s when people had stuff. So we could try and deconstruct this into a load of shapes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just thinking, I'm just trying to break this.
Oh, and like use the shape builder tool to like bring it together. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, well actually I'm going to start with the line tools for this, okay. I think. So let's go ahead and let's use the line tool to start off with. Right, so I'm going to go ahead. Now I suppose what I really should do if I was going to do this properly is I should aim for the middle of that character there. It might also be a good idea to put in some guides, but let's not go crazy.
Who needs guides?
Yeah, overrated. David Carson hates them.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever watched any of his lectures? Or he's just like, no, don't use those. I don't do that.
That's not his style. He's not a grid person, is he?
He's not. No. Which is why I did a degree in sociology first. There we are. So, I'm not dissing David Carson, by the way. I'm just trying to think of how this might inflate. Would that be? Do you know what I think?
Oh, I see. Because we need it to have like different shapes, don't we? So
yeah.
they inflate separately.
But I'm trying to think about what shapes they would be.
I think that bit would be a square with rounded corners. But you could just round the two right-hand corners.
Could. Yeah, we could do that actually.
So take that right up how you had it before.
So halfway across there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's switch to the regular pen tool and just continue that line out from there. I'm gonna be very geometric here and hold down the Shift key and do that. But I don't think that end here. I'm not going to take that all the way to the edge. This is live problem solving.
Oh, so that's
as well.
not what I was thinking. What I was thinking was that you draw. Like completely separately, draw a square.
Yeah.
Because don't we want to have the shapes separate? Because we want the bits of the letter to like inflate separately.
Yes.
I mean, we can experiment with this letter because it might be that actually that ends up being too busy, and we just want each letter complete inflated. Yeah. But this could be fun to try.
So should we do those together like that? So like this, so it's like one balloon, right? No.
So what I'm thinking is we have a
You're my favourite art director.
This, I mean, we are like seriously emulating design
being
studio vibes.
Yeah. Today feels like being at work.
You do your thing, Tony. I've got some weird idea in my head that isn't going to make sense.
Can you sketch it? Can you sketch? Oh no, you actually haven't got.
So what I'm thinking is that you have. I just hear pointing at the screen. Like you've got a rectangle and a square, and then another shape for the leg, and then three separate shapes.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to do.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's kind of where I was going.
Okay, perfect.
With it, I've got an idea, by the way, for this bottom corner.
Okay.
So let's come back to that in a second. That
nice.
bottom corner just there. let's go ahead and drop in. So I've just switched to the line tool there. I'm just going to draw a line up here. In case you're wondering why I'm stopping short of that, that's because what I want to do here is go to the stroke options, add in some end caps,
nice,
like so.
Yeah.
Now it may be, and let's start to colour these out as well so people can see. Well, oh, of course I haven't created a colour theme from your artwork.
Oh, we can create a library.
I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah, do it now.
I could do it that way. Well, we should do for when we're working together. We would definitely create a library. But what I'm going to do just for the minute is, wow, that's radioactive on that screen.
Yeah, go for a warmer yellow. Right?
Go for a warmer yellow. You're like, whoa, not that warm. So I'm going to go to the swatches just here, and I'm going to create a new colour group. Let's call that, what should we call it?
Express Design.
Express Design.
There's lots of laughing faces in the chat. I hope you're enjoying this new format of Adobe Live. Of me and Tony basically just giggling our way through designing.
We've created a new format. It's called We Resign.
Oliver says Maddie would be happy with that colour. She absolutely would be.
She would, yeah.
I hope Maddie's watching and wearing her sunglasses.
Oh man, I've got a Maddie toolkit in my studio. So I'm just going to colour these out. These will be the same shape, but I just want people to be able to see
the same colour.
Yeah. Or different colours while we assemble it.
Yeah,
so it's really
perfect.
clear what we're doing.
Yeah.
I just think that's a good idea.
Good plan.
This one here, what I think I'm going to do with that is think a bit harder. I kind of want to. Oh, actually, I know how I could do this. So I'm going to go for that angle there, like that. I'm then going to go ahead and draw a straight line across there, like so. Suddenly, a load of noise outside in the corridor, but there we go. Must be people looking at this design and going, what are they doing? But let's go ahead and go object. We'll come down to path and we'll choose divide objects below, which hopefully will split up that path just there. Do you know what? But it hasn't. Weird. Okay.
Classic.
Do you know why it didn't work?
You didn't have it selected.
That would be an immediate clue as to why that didn't work. I used to have that on my. Oh, it should have.
But hang on, you haven't got the back one selected.
No, you shouldn't need it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hang on.
Oh, maybe it did do it.
Maybe it didn't. So what we can do is, there's always another way to work around. We can switch to the shape builder. Yeah. Maybe that's going to do a different thing. Tony.
This is live problem solving.
This is live problem solving. So. That's the main reason people watch my stuff in the afternoons. Tony's making problems. But there you are. I think I'm going to change the profile for this stroke. I think I'm going to go like that.
Ooh, interesting.
But then reverse it along the stroke.
Nice.
Let's bring that up into place.
I like that a lot.
There. So I think that will make an interesting shape.
Yeah.
And I might make that slightly longer as well, so I can go ahead and just grab that anchor point on the end, bring that out of it like so.
And like it says, it might be because it's a stroke.
It might actually be that, yeah, normally you apply that to shapes, so yeah, that's a good shout, Annika. It is a good shout. I'm going to go ahead and outline that stroke, so we'll do that. I'm going to use the menu system, so let's do that just for the minute. And then I'm going to get the eraser, Shift E, to do that. And then I'm going to use mad skills, such as holding down the Option key and Shift, just there, to go ahead and just remove a section. In fact, I don't even need the Option key, just the Shift key would do just for a minute. Let's do that.
Okay, yeah, nice.
Now.
And now you can edit those individual corners. Nice, yeah.
That off
great.
like so.
Great solution.
This one here, I think I'm going to just try and pull that in just a tiny bit. There we are.
Great.
I think that'll work.
I think that'll work.
Yeah.
I guess it needs to come down slightly. But
yeah, well, I'm going to make that slightly larger as well.
Nice.
So, because now we're in control of the actual shape itself. That curve just to the left, that would need to descend beyond everything else anyway.
Oh, I'm excited to see
What
how
do you
this is
think?
going
That
to
might
Yeah, I
work.
think it could work. I think this is one of those ones where we're going to have to... This is like our little test letter to see
Yeah.
how it inflates.
We need to actually change that colour though for the purposes of 3Ding it, because it looks suspiciously like the one in the splash screen from from
it does.
Illustrator.
Yeah.
When-
Just straight up copying it.
Welcome to Liz and Tony's plagiarism podcast. There we go. Right, I'm going to tap X to bring the stroke to the front, and let's just go ahead and choose that colour now. So that's what I didn't do there. This one here, what I was wondering, Liz, was if I went ahead and just grabbed with the direct selection tool these two pieces here, and then option clicked on that a couple of times, or actually just once. There we go.
Nice. Yeah.
I just wonder if changing that to an inset
Clever.
might make that slightly more interesting. The only thing is it's so thick, but we can still give it a go. And if, actually, I've had another idea. Having ideas now. Crazy ideas. I'm going to outline that stroke, because that then gives me the option
To edit
the individual pieces and then move them around.
Nice.
That'd work. Do you think that's working?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering myself now.
So I think it'd be interesting. I think this is like our test letter, because I wonder if we're going to inflate. This sounds so ridiculous because it makes it sound like it's a balloon. But if we're going to inflate our entire design, we might not want to have multiple inflations within the letter. Do you know what I mean? Because it might get too
or at
busy.
least not to the same degree.
Not to the same degree. But I think this. I can't wait to see what this letter looks like, and. And give it a go. Oliver says plagiarism live with Tony and Liz. I mean, that's a whole other podcast right there.
Let's. Oh, do you know what? I'm going to give it a go.
Yeah, give it a go.
Let's give it a go.
Love this tool for just like playing around.
Let's just try and play because it's so much fun. I think Jack Watson was doing a challenge last week.
Yes, she was.
With
3D,
inflation, making things with that. Good challenge.
What have you got your sort of like optimum effects that you put on it? You know, like you can go through and choose like the materials and the lighting.
Yeah.
Because I love the one that makes it look all shiny. Not as in
like
not
a
change
gloss
the
effect.
Yeah, there's like I can't remember exactly what it's called.
Well, we can go into the materials.
Oh, I think it's in the properties, isn't it?
We can mess with the base,
the
base colour.
That's what it is. I love adding the metallic to it, and then it gives it like a nice little sheen.
Let's go for just over halfway.
Yes.
Oof.
Oh, yes.
Look at that.
That is looking so good.
That's crazy.
I'm excited about this.
Fantastic. We're in Germany. We've made a bratwurst. Check us out.
Yeah.
Welcome to Cooking with Liz and Tony.
Oh dear.
The lighting there would need to change, however.
Yes.
That is like super harsh, so I think I want to bring that down. We're going to lose some of the specular highlights there, though. And we could always try just moving the light source around. I think it definitely needs to be down there. Maybe change the height of the lights.
Oh, Uma said she made some fruits with a 3D inflate. I bet that was cool.
I've been watching her stuff on Instagram. I've been watching the little bits. I like them. That's okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Let's try that. I think this one now, we could actually bring this one up a little bit. And what we could do, so I'm going over that corner.
Yeah,
now,
I actually think that
an indication
works.
that I don't like that corner
Yeah.
anymore.
Let's hide that corner.
And I'm going to outline
well.
that. I'm actually using a shortcut that I've self-assigned
Oh dear,
for that one.
Oliver says launching a new range of alphabet sausages. That's so culturally relevant.
That's what we're here for, folks. Let's just come along, join in. Oh dear, I'm going to drag. Do you know this trick?
No.
So this is,
yes.
Yeah,
yes,
so just
genius.
take the appearance of an object,
drag it on. So you're not having,
and then model it from there.
Like
We could do the same with this one as well. So if we go ahead and grab that appearance just there and drop that in.
So what this is making me realise is that I think we need to create the shape so that it interlocks perfectly, almost like a jigsaw.
Yeah.
So that then the inflation goes like down around the other shapes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect
sense. But
sense.
I think this is like, I'm really into this sort of idea that we've got going on.
Yeah.
I think it's coming together. But I think
excuse me.
maybe should we try a letter that's just one shape and see what that looks like, and then we can compare the two.
We could. Yes.
But
No. No. It's just I'm just looking at this. I'm just thinking that's too pointy for an inflatable. So how
it's
about
not realistic, is it?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So bringing that in. Yeah.
I
And
think
then we
this
need
is
to
so interesting.
cut those shapes out of that.
Yeah.
I feel like persisting with this one. Just
Yeah.
for a minute.
Okay. Yeah. Keep going.
I do kind of.
It's fun to see how it's coming together.
Yes.
We have got 40 minutes left.
Have we already?
Yeah,
Really?
I know. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Time flies when you're
does move fun,
when
it
you're
does.
making sausage letters with the inflate tool.
I wonder if they can change that on the YouTube thumbnail. It's making sausage letters.
Forget about the podcast.
Yeah. Hi, we're doing a brand for breakfast. Right, okay. We're probably going to get told off later. Right? That's not really what... Anyway, right. So
Back on track.
right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to copy that shape.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get this shape, double click on it. Then I'm going to get... So I'm in isolation mode. I'm going to paste that in front.
Nice.
Right, but then I'm going to clear the appearance. So just... Ooh, did I do that on both? Right, okay, I did. Right, it's forming a compound path, that's why. That's not fun. I'm going to try this another way. So let's see what happens if I go ahead and subtract that. That's working
there we
really
go.
well.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and subtract. Whoa. That was fun. Let's try that again. No, it's because it thinks it's a compound path. So what we'll do is we will undo that so we're back to the shape. That's not going to be as easy as I thought.
Would it work better if you like uninflate it and then do the subtraction?
No, it'll still work. It's just because it's in isolation mode. So what I want to make sure I'm doing, I'll show you. If I just go ahead and just move this, holding down the shift key, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
With that, just to move it. That's just a habit I've got myself into.
I do that as well.
Do
it
you?
makes me feel better that I'm not the only one that's like counting.
So relieved. So relieved.
This has made me feel better as well.
This is value, right? This is therapy. It's laughs. It's sausage.
I mean, this is like a good insight into what our podcast is going to be like too.
It is. So let's try taking that away now. So that should work as expected.
Perfect.
Again, we've got a sharp corner.
Except I think once you try putting that bit back, because I wonder if won't actually look
Let's go ahead
too bad once you've got that. See, because I actually like that, because then it's like pushing into it.
Yeah, kind of meshes.
But is it too... Yeah, it is a bit too sharp.
The only bit that bothers me
that's,
is that bit just there.
That is annoying, yeah. That needs fixing.
So that definitely
it does need rounding off slightly, doesn't it?
So there are a couple of different ways we could approach doing this, you know. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to be proper brutal with that and just switch to the pen tool. And let's just get rid of that anchor if we can. Oh, I'm drawing a new one. Let's undo that. So I'm going to move this to the side just for a second. And then you can see how the effect's working just there. And the fact that it is a raster effect. And by the way, if you're looking at this thinking, I don't like that effect, it's dreadfully, dreadfully rasterized. All I'd need to do is go into the raster effect settings and change that. Let's double that up, okay, by making because we are actually creating an image here.
Yeah.
That's what is actually happening, and then you'll see it tightens up like so.
Nice.
So if you were doing something like this, the effect itself will change because the resolution has changed around it. So there's a whole bunch of different things to think about there. But let's get that point. Let's go for the pen tool and subtract it. Then. Because I know this isn't the right shape at the moment, but I'm just going to go and round that off.
I am, this is one of my favourite features of Illustrator, being able to round things so easily.
So cool. So cool. So it's fine that there's a join there. Let's just zoom out again, just a bit. So it's fine that there's a join there, but it's just not quite as...
Not as harsh.
Harsh, yeah. Yeah. So, see, I think that's kind of interesting. One of the ways you could, I'm going to show you. Let me just do a quick save on this actually, because Annika's
I can't believe Annika hasn't told us off yet.
freaking out. Right, so let's go ahead and drop that onto the desktop, nice and clear. There we go. So, what are we calling this? Express
Design
cover. Thank you for helping my brain to do work, which is good because it's kind of fried today. Yeah, you see that has something going about it.
It does, yeah. It's interesting.
It's worth exploring.
I think so. I think this is something, and this is like quite realistic of the creative process. Like we haven't come into this. We've come into this with ideas, but we haven't come into this with the final design. And so you're seeing the actual experimentation process.
Yep.
See what's working, what isn't. We can play around with some other letters.
Yep, that's all good.
So we've got half an hour left to finish our cover. Well, we can work on it a bit afterwards.
We can work on it a little
yeah.
All the time in the world.
yeah.
So shall we draw a couple of others? Let's draw these geometrically and then mess with them afterwards. So here's how I would tackle this one. Just so you can see, I'm switching to the regular pen tool just here. I am clicking here, moving across to where I think the middle of that would be. Mind you, there's differing weights in
Would
there.
you always do it as a stroke, or would you do it as shapes?
9 times out of 10, I start with it as strokes.
Okay.
That's just what I do, because it's flexible. If I want to, especially if I'm creating, if I just hit escape just for a second, especially if I'm creating lettering.
Okay.
Because I've got the flexibility if I want to change the width of something. So let me just get rid of that fill on there.
Because I would like, and feel free to ignore this, but I would like totally straighten this up and have it quite sort of like geometric and blocky, I think.
Then the best way for me to do that is to get hold of both of those points, right there, and align them. They're actually aligning to the top of the document just at the moment, so let's just go and change where they're aligning to. So align to selection and align top. They're still not aligning properly, but
still not doing
it's going to be one of those days.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those days.
Let's just.
Nothing
I'm
today
put that down
is
there.
working as we
so
expected.
No, it isn't. So let's go ahead and click on this one here. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and click on this one here, right? Because the normal way of you doing that is you say, right, let's just get rid of that for a second. I'm going to do it another way. Here's another way to draw a straight line. Hold down the Shift key and just draw with the one spot. Who knew?
Ta-da!
Who knew? But no, this is why that I think the path is the best way for you to draw things. Also, if you are making a font, you've got plenty of scope for doing different weights.
Nice, yeah.
In that way,
that is such a good point.
So that's.
Yeah, I guess that's a good reminder that it's always good to think of all the different potential outcomes, and I think you're always good at doing it the smart way rather than the
Is it because I'm
lazy
lazy?
No,
I know it's because I'm I'm really lazy. That's why I went into doing workflow, because I said, I don't want to spend ages doing that. I am really keyed in with my inner stereotypical millennial. I'm just like, I don't want to do that again. There are other things I'd rather be doing. So I'm just holding down the Option key and Shift and just copying those things down like so.
So Oliver's got a question. If you drag a point on an existing line with Shift held down, will it straighten the line?
So let me just pop this here and here. Right, so direct selection tool, selecting that point, doing that, and Shift just sticks it to, you can see those angles. It doesn't actually do it.
It doesn't actually make it. It
No.
doesn't lock it to this.
I mean, that is not behaving properly, because if you select 2 points and tell them to
it should align,
they should align.
But it's doing its own thing.
It's doing what it wants.
It's the theme. It's the theme of our day, guys.
It's the Tony Cyclone today. That's how it's going. So even here, even in this example that we're doing right now, right, if I just bring that back so we can see it. So those 2 things are of a similar weight. This is of a dissimilar weight. So even here, using that way of scrolling over that field, like that. So you can see
Yeah.
you can see, nobody else
Nobody
can
else
see.
can
We're having to
see.
describe, audio describe Tony's action on there. But just scrolling over that field means it will change those things. I think while I'm actually at it, I'm just going to move down onto a screen here and just quit Photoshop, because that's taking up a lot of resources with all of the other stuff that we've got going. So let's go ahead and do that. We don't need to say that. There we are. That will free up some stuff for us. So it just makes it nice and easy to do. I'm just going to aim for this edge, bring that down like so. I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom there. I can sort out the alignment of those things in a minute or two, so we can just fix that just for the mo. Get it fairly close. Wind that down. Just a bit of scrolling over the top. Yeah, I over scrolled a bit, I think.
Yeah, just a little
Do you
bit.
reckon?
I think
God, you actually sounded like an old art director, I need to say. Do
you
you think?
PTSD.
Yeah, I've got PTSD. And actually, they looked like the hovering art director, just without the tattoos, and had a cigarette hanging out of their mouth, which was something you could do. How disgusting.
Yeah.
For looking at, especially in those days when you were spraying glue around all over the place. It was just
Yes.
madness. But anyway, right. So here's how I'd approach doing that. Basically, I'd take all of those things as parts. If I was happy with the overall dimensions of those things, and we're going to play with this anyway, I'd then go and outline those. So I assigned a shortcut to outlining strokes, because again, I refer to my statement about being lazy. Yeah, that's how lazy I am, Liz. I can just,
See, my problem is that I get stuck doing things a non-efficient way, and then I'm too lazy to learn a new way.
Oh,
See,
no,
it's a
that's
different type of laziness.
That's a problem workflow, that is.
That is.
Yeah.
Except I'm being unfair to myself. I am starting to improve my workflow.
I see you changing stuff all the time, which is excellent.
I'm getting better.
You can see how easy that is to do. Now, if I wasn't
good.
set on those things just there, rather than uniting them, right, what I could do is hold down Alt or Option and just click on those. So at the moment, visually, they have exactly the same, they don't look any different, but they are one shape.
Oh, okay.
Right,
so when we inflate, it'll inflate as one shape.
Inflate as one shape.
Perfect.
Which gives you some options, right? So if we went ahead and let's just do apply using the settings that we had a moment ago, you can see it's applying across that whole thing. But be the art director for a minute and tell me that the relationship between the middle bar and the other two bars is too even, and you want me to mix it up.
Yeah, it's too even. I definitely want you to mix it up.
Okay, right. Well, that I can do really easily, because all I'd need to do here, because they are still technically separate shapes,
this is
direct selection tool to do that, and then I could just nudge that up, from there, or I should be able to. Strangely enough, it's not moving there. I'll drag it, but look at that.
That's
and
amazing.
the effect
and
is still holding.
Yeah, amazing.
From there, nice and easy.
Yeah,
so
that's really good.
That's a lot of flexibility, right?
That's great.
Yeah. So
I shouldn't have looked at the chat. Oliver says that Adobe going to have to re-release their art director toy in the image of Liz. Oh dear. I'm glad everybody's on board.
I like it. Say I like it, but I don't love it.
I like it, but I don't love it. If you could make it pop a bit more, that would be really good. I just think it needs, the wow factor, Tony.
More wolves. Add more wolves. I'm going to just change the colour on this.
I'm surprised they let us be in the same room together.
Well, right over in the room
that.
opposite, there's Emma and Melanie looking over this way saying, yeah, you're right. No. It's,
oh dear.
Yeah, I think that
I
really
like
well.
it in that pink. So what do you think about
it's
rounding the corners?
corners?
I think we need to round the corners.
Now, here's the thing.
But just a tiny bit.
If we wanted to round the corners on those shapes individually, so you'll notice that even if we switch to the direct selection tool, we do have access to all of those things, but see what happens
we don't want
to the whole thing. So we don't want it that way. So how do we get around that? Or how do we try to get around that? And the way is with another effect.
Okay.
Right. So back in the day, right, when you were probably in primary school, when you wanted to do a rounded rectangle in Illustrator, you had two ways of doing it, right? You either had this tool, which creates you fixed rounded rectangles. Or indeed, that might have been. I'm going to just draw one quickly, just in case. Yeah, there you go. Fixed rounded rectangles. There's nothing on there to allow you to change these corners apart from those widgets, I suppose. But there you are. So you have still got the widgets, but you'd have to do that until an effect was introduced called round corners.
Yeah.
And so let's try that on here. So that effect is going to build on top of the 3D and materials. So let's go to. Oh man,
you've lost it, haven't you?
It's how long ago. There it is, stylized. This is how long ago it's been since I've used that effect. So let's just see if it'll be funny. No, there we go.
Yeah, that's great.
Look at that.
Good to remember.
But it's all still flexible.
Yeah.
So if we decide to move any of those parts in between, we've got it.
Let's add the metallic sheen on.
Yes. You're mad for that metallic sheen.
I really am. I love the metallic sheen.
Let's do it. It is very, very cool.
I just think it's so
go ahead,
clever.
Go to materials and down to metallic and take that again up to about 60%.
Annika says she's loving this stream. I'm glad.
We're both glad. We've had quite a morning, Annika, we can tell you. But there we go. Nice. Yeah.
I think that's looking cool.
Yeah, I like it. I think we should do the rest of the week like this, no matter what.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
I think that's working well. I think if we have all the letters like that,
I just want to add an effect. I love those materials so bad.
What's your favourite material?
I haven't got a favourite.
Yeah, you just love them all equally.
It's just like my children. I've only got one favourite. Well, no, two. No, all right. At different times of the day. No, there's so many in there. Plus, I've got substance, so I kind of use all of those. Where was it? Down here?
Yeah, a bit further down.
Okay.
There we go. That one, bottom middle.
This one here?
Yeah.
Larchwood. The question we need to ask ourselves, though, is why have we got a wooden
I mean, I don't think
but
we're going to stick with this.
Would be the way I would come back with it.
just to try it and see. Oh, that looks better than I expected.
It does.
That is very impressive.
Look at the amount of parametric properties in there. That's a lot, right?
Okay, so Gareth has said, has anybody pointed out that Express has two S's? Now, I did think about this, Gareth, because I'm basically using the S from design, so it was following round. So I did actually think of that. It might not work for our final design.
I get it.
But do you see what I mean?
That's a good code.
I was borrowing the S from design to use Express. So it wasn't just that I can't spell Express. It wasn't intentional.
That's a good code.
Yeah, just,
Hey, I like that.
Yeah, I thought that was quite cool. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are going to think that I just spelled Express wrong, but
I can't bear that, would you?
No, we've got to go back. I think the metallic. It was good to experiment.
What we could do, just to stop that from being quite as something else. Here's another overlooked option. At the moment, we're assuming white light on there. Yeah.
Oh.
But what about if we decided to change it out, for a different coloured light, and maybe something towards one of its opposites, but of course lighter because, it's light.
Ooh.
And drop the intensity down. See, all of a sudden that's gone very...
Very red.
Very red,
It looks very much like the other one, doesn't it?
It's because it's not truly neutral, but we could go ahead and change. I mean, there's a point around about here where it would have no effect whatsoever.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So you've got so many things to play with. Yeah, so if you go to something like here, which is more sort of reflecting the ambience, you can see that. So there's sort of a point there, but...
let's try. Should we try another letter? Maybe with that X, I was thinking that it would come down as to line up with the bottom of the E.
Yep.
And then it gives us a bit of space in the middle for maybe adding like a scripty text later on.
I see. I think we were just going to undo that thing there. I liked it when it was pink.
Yeah, let's leave it pink. Oliver says that he likes the wood, but maybe not on this. I think that's a good assessment. The wood effect.
So this is one of those things where it's very, very easy to start turning all of the effect stuff on all of the
and
time.
it's that classic thing, isn't it, where that in whatever you're using, whatever tool, it's generally best not to use all of the effects. Definitely.
I think we ought to stream later on in the afternoon where we look at it and go like, no.
yeah.
But it's worth exploring. I'm going to line up with the top of that. I am going to move round to about here. I am holding down Shift to keep that locked together. It's not 45 degrees, so I'm not going to, mind you, if I did lock it at 45 degrees,
it's not that far.
It's not that far off.
Yeah, I think do it.
Do that?
Yeah.
And then down to the bottom here, you say down to the E.
To the bottom of the E, I would line it up with, yeah.
I kind of like that.
Oh, you like it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go with it.
So let me just swap that out. I'm going to hit escape to stop
And would
drawing.
you then duplicate this and reflect it to get the other side?
That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Nice.
Yes. That would work really, really well. So let's just bring that out like so. Okay, and oops, I just added another anchor point there, which I didn't want. One of the other things that I'm going to point out on here that I really liked about your sketch is the fact that you've got like this L shape here, and then you've got the rotation of that L shape along here. I think I mentioned it actually when we were talking about the sketch, thinking about it at the risk of repeating myself. Yeah, but I think
that works. Yeah, I think that's good.
The other thing is, of course, let's just say we wanted, I mean, we're going to get a certain degree of it with the inflation if we continue with the inflation thing there, but we can always use width profiles, to actually change this out. So if I went for the width tool, just here, move down to about this point, so I'm kind of lining myself up with where that becomes actually vertical, and I just double click there and lock that. By adding that place there, I've locked it at the width it was already.
Right, okay.
I now go down to the bottom and pull that out.
Nice, yes.
You can see you get that nice variation in shape.
So clever.
Just there. That looks like that's a 70s
flare.
flared leg.
It is.
But that, we could do that. I mean, I'm not going to, but we could do it just there. So I'm starting to sound very bunged up, so I apologise.
I know.
But
I think it's the air conditioning.
It is the air A couple of different ways I could reflect it, so I could just go ahead and use the reflect there, copy paste and do that, or just tap O on the keyboard. It will go to the geometric centre of that as a shape, right, or as a path. Just hit return. Flipping is great. Option key down, hit return, saves me hitting copy.
Nice.
Don't like using menus and buttons and stuff like that. Or I do.
You're very good at explaining all your shortcuts though, which is
thanks.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the way I like it. That looks good.
Yeah. Now we just need to round our corners slightly.
Yeah, so what I'm wondering is I mean, I could actually do this just with strokes. If we used an outline stroke effect as an effect, we could actually get away with doing that. But I think I'm going to just actually go ahead and outline them. Oh, that creates a nice shape. This time we will actually join them together. Or are they likely to change? No?
No, I don't reckon.
Let's go ahead and do that. Shift Command E, that's Shift Control E on Windows, gives us the rounded effect.
Nice.
Just there. So same thing, but just different order. In fact, we could even, as you've seen before, we could even go ahead and drag that onto there.
Perfect.
There we go.
Should we try one of our other colours?
Yes, definitely.
Nice. Oh. This is going to be like a party in a podcast. It's going to be like...
It's very Christmassy.
Yeah, that was looking a bit Christmassy. But I think when we've got some of the other colours in, it's going to work.
Yes. Let's try the P here. Again, with a path. It's just very, very typical. In my own workflow, that's the way I do it. So I'm going to stick with it just for giggles.
Just for giggles.
Giggles. I'm actually going to deselect that. First of all, I'm going to give it an appearance. So I'm just going to tap D. Gives it the default. The black stroke there is just fine. Just going to tap X to bring the fill to the foreground. / to get rid of that fill. Because that's selected, like so, then whatever I do next will take on that appearance. can go ahead and zoom in on that as well, so it makes it easier for people to see. That's cool. Use the menu here to increase the weight. What about if I thought 20 points? But wow, I wonder what that would be like if it was 40 points. I could always do times 2. And then tabs, it did nothing because I didn't actually type times 2. Winning. Let's try that again. So you saw the original drill there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice.
So
That's cool.
it's worth doing it, or if I thought it was going to be a 3rd or a 5th or all of that stuff. But these are handy. I mean, if you're not used to using InDesign, I was going to say InDesign then, Illustrator. And if you're not used to using InDesign, then this isn't going to help
you. Oh dear.
You're kind of, oh hello. Oh dear.
If you're just joining us, we're at the sort of like hysterical point of our stream.
We absolutely are.
We've only got about 10 minutes left.
Oh my word.
So we do a few more letters.
Yes.
But don't worry, we will finish off our cover ready for tomorrow's stream, where we're going to be in Adobe Express.
We will.
Creating promotional assets for our podcast.
And Liz will be doing all of the work.
Yeah.
Which is excellent.
Yeah. You can just sit and make me giggle.
I can art direct you.
Yeah. You can do that.
That would be fun.
Yeah,
no.
it's not quite what I had in mind.
Yeah. It needs to be more.
Give it some pizzazz.
Pizzazz. Make the logo bigger. Sandrine's not in the chat today, unfortunately, because she's very keen on pointing those things out. That's a wacky shape.
That is, yeah.
I'm going to go with it, though.
Nice.
I think I'm going to go that way. You see that's not quite hitting that.
Oh, that's quite nice as well, actually.
It is, actually. Thinking around it, that's not bad at all. Shall we go with those two?
Oliver says Tony's getting his revenge tomorrow. He totally is. I'm actually scared now of what's to come.
Oh, yes, I am. Don't worry, it'll be fine.
No, it'll be fine.
Everything will be fine. Alice will be good. Right, so let's go ahead then and grab one of these things because it's got all the effects we need on. Drop it onto.
Ooh, that was unexpected.
Very strange.
That is strange.
Yeah.
So do you think it's because of how the curves were created?
I don't know. I'm going to undo that. Let's go back to the path and see what happens if we apply it.
Because it does look totally smooth.
Do you know what? Let's just have a quick check on here and see. We've got. Yeah, I'm going to bring that rounded corners down underneath. You see, this is the thing. When you do these things, they have a drawing order, and I should have gone on top, just there. Let me just bring that onto that shape there. Make sure I get a plus to add a. Yeah, see, because that's just doing it to the path.
Right. Yeah.
So let's see what happens if we outline that path. I'm wondering if I should take off because of the I know what it is. It's the rounded corners working twice.
Okay.
That's
because you had the two effects on. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's kind of doubling up.
Yeah.
And the answer that it's actually coming up with for those line segments is yeah. What do you want me to make now? An angle? Yeah. Okay, fine.
It's having a little meltdown.
Yeah, that's it. I'm very sorry, Illustrator, and in particular that curve. So if we get that this time.
Ooh.
Still a little bit tight.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. But
see, I wonder if we take off the rounded corners effect, create the rounded corners, and then try.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So we'll bring that in, as before. We'll follow your advice.
My
expert
art director.
We'll take that away like so. So the rounded corners are gone. Let's get the direct selection tool. Now we need to do these separately. We could actually calculate this. I mean, you're welcome to if you want. But
okay, thanks.
Don't forget to show you're working out.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the lasso to get those two ones just there on the inside. So we've got those two. Let's go for that. And let's just make this, because they're of course not going to be the same sort of dimension. As that.
I think that works.
Yeah,
better.
Let's see if I can max it out and just see what happens. Yeah, I kind of liked it when it was just a little bit.
So this is interesting. So because we've deleted our corner options effect, because it was like it's impacted that one.
Was it still selected?
No, I don't think so. But was it because you dragged that? They like both had the same.
No,
like
because they weren't a graphic
okay.
style, so it shouldn't have actually. Shouldn't have
Maybe it was selected.
actually
still.
affected it. So let me just apply the round corners to that.
There we go. Back in business.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't. That they're objects in isolation, so they shouldn't have any relationship at all. If they were using a graphic style and I was overwriting the graphic style, then yeah, that would change.
Yeah.
But it is interesting. I think I should bring this down a bit. So let's just hold down Shift and keep that just there. Taking a look. So what I'm actually looking for here, Liz, is the width. In fact, I can show you as a calculation, pretty much. So the width of this stroke is 64 points.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So if what I could do is, if I go ahead, let me just switch to the selection tool. This will be slightly easier. And there's a bit of a graphics redraw problem just there. Let's just zoom out. And again, okay. So 64 points across. Now, when you draw a rounded cap onto the letter, its diameter is half of the width of that stroke because it's drawn from the middle. So if I wanted to change the height of that, if I set the reference point at the bottom of the stroke, just there, and then went to the height here and go right the way out to the side here, and then do minus half of 64, 32 PT, so take away 32 points from that dimension, you'll see that comes down like so. So when that gets its radius, that will then come up and just bump on the top of that P.
Clever.
Yeah. I'm going to leave the bit at the bottom here, so that will extend beyond it.
Yeah.
But I mean, is that the best thing to do in this particular situation? It might not be, but it's still worth pointing it out because there are times when you need to,
where you want that.
You've got me into in patterns, and in patterns when you're using strokes that are going to go across and meet with another stroke, you actually do need to be able to calculate when to stop drawing the cap, or when to start drawing the cap. So that's one of those situations. Let's go and outline that, and then pick up this one here and drop that onto there. And of course, it hasn't got the rounded corners effect.
Hasn't got the rounded corners.
That's because that's because we rounded those manually. Let's go with this one, just there. Oh right, okay, that didn't work.
Guys, this is the theme.
But just so you can see that I'm not fibbing to you. If I go ahead and add that radius,
that makes total sense.
There you go.
Yeah.
But we'll go with the flush. I want them to change the name of this to a flush cap.
Okay.
Because if you ever tried teaching this in a school, it's just crazy. It's a mess out there.
So we've got a question about graphic styles. I applied a graphic style to a shape the other day, and it didn't apply the colour from the style. What could have been the issue? Oh. Good question.
That is interesting.
I'll leave that one with you.
Unless it depends on the graphic style you were using. If the graphic style had a colour inside of it that was using a different blending mode, to apply it, it may be that the root colour, the one underneath that you were using underneath, might have overridden the colour you dropped on top of it. So let's just say, for example, it was really, really, really light yellow. And it was set to blend in the screen blending mode, but it was going on top of a very, very light, other yellow, then you wouldn't actually notice the effect. That might be Annika's just saying I deleted it from the effect panel as well, so there you go. It's good to have all these people spotting.
So watching what we're doing.
There we go. We've got all of that stuff on there. So
cool.
And I just think that simply moving that across a little bit.
Yeah.
The only thing is this has suddenly changed. This is like the letterform design from 1995 to present. I think we're going to might have to think a little bit about
we've been having a bit of an experiment, and we will tidy it all up and get this sort of cover working. Yes. We've got 5 minutes left, and so
let's absolutely crack on. I'm wondering if it's a good idea. Do you know what? It is a good idea. So let's do it. Right, graphic styles just here. I'm just going to clear away everything that we're not using, which is basically all of those apart from one. You can't delete the very first one in there because that is the default graphic style.
Okay.
You can change what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to have one in there.
Yeah, you've got to have one in there. In fact, just to show you, so the quickest way to apply the default graphic style is just to tap D. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, in Illustrator documents, normally that means give it a white fill and a black stroke. I quite often work on documents where I don't want any fills at all, because while I might follow your kind of workflow and decide on some colours to start off with, sometimes I don't, or sometimes I think I'm not entirely sure.
Like you'll work with no colour,
just the lines.
Then, nice.
Yeah, and then do that.
That's
so if I
a good
wanted
option.
everything to change at that particular point, back to that, what I might do is I might bring the fill to the front there, hit the slash key, okay, to remove that fill. Sometimes also I want to draw things slightly bolder, especially if I'm showing something on screen, or I might want nice thicker lines like that. Then I'll grab hold of the selection tool, drag that into the graphic styles panel when it wants to wake up. There we go, we'll try that again with feeling. Drag that into the graphic styles panel, hold down Alt or Option, drop it on top of the default style.
And so now that's the default one.
That's the new default. So if I went to this one and thought, not sure about that, tap D, done.
Ah, brilliant. Yeah.
Right, any of those things, I can select all of that stuff, D, done, and we've gone back to there. And by the way, you can see the benefit of that multi-shape thing. Again, just there. Yeah, but we do like some of what we've done there, so we'll just go back and let that come back, style on the X, and just there. So it's handy to have. You can also make I'm going to make one other thing here, Liz. I know it's slightly out of the context of doing our letters. Let's take one of Von Glitschka's patterns just here. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that in to create another graphic style. You can actually have additive graphic styles that add on to other things. Now, there's a few different ways you can do it. Right, you can see here you can option click this or alt click this. People don't read tooltips.
Yeah.
Because it actually tells you what to do, right? You can option click that to add it to the existing style. Now that's not truly an additive style, but it's almost like adding something on very easily. So if I option click that, right, with the thing that we've got here selected, it should draw that pattern over the top of that, but we might not see it because of the other things that are going on just there. Let's have a quick look and see in the appearance panel if we've you can see the patterns on there twice, but it's applying underneath those, so it's stacking order slightly different. Let me just bring that up to the top just there, and then you'll see that start to draw on there. So it's kind of handy to know
that is handy to
those
know.
things. Also, you can think about style hierarchies that you can build. I'm just going to get rid of those. That involve you add, so you might want everything to have a black stroke around it. Create a style that does that. You might have some things that need a gradient over the top of them as well. So you build that style and then you add it on. And the other styles that you have in there, and these are all the things that we was talking about. And also, if you had a key held down, that might change the way it behaves. But there are additive styles in the graphic styles. I don't know if you've ever played with any of these, but these are a set of additive styles. So let's just say I wanted a grid of those things, add that style to it, and you'll get a grid. I should hold down the key and actually do that. Right, so if I just wanted to go ahead and do that, you can hold down, I think it's Shift to add that one, and then it should draw from there, or possibly Alt. But anyway, they're there, that's what they're there for. If you want to add a drop shadow and whatever, then you can do all of those things.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, we have reached the end of today's live stream, but we will be back tomorrow again at 12 p.m. UK time. We've got 2 more streams. We might be here together, or we might be
in separate rooms.
But we'll be back here.
If we're in separate rooms, it's not creative differences.
Less art direction.
Less art direction, yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to everybody in the chat. It's been so great to have you here.
And bearing with us with the tech trouble as well.
Thanks for your patience with our tech issues this morning. But hopefully we'll get those sorted this afternoon, and we'll be back tomorrow. So yeah, thanks so much for joining us, and see you at 12 p.m. tomorrow, same place, same time.
Thank you.